Hey everyone, Social Solipsist here for another episode of 52 and 52. And this week I'm taking a look at Rainbow Six Siege, which was on a free weekend one of these past weeks, depending on what day this video goes up. Yeah, I don't actually own it. It was just on a free weekend, and I said I thought I'd give it a go. I have a couple of friends who have played it, who have given it good and bad reviews on both sides, on various things, and I thought I'd see what it was all about. I do have sort of a soft spot in my heart for tactical shooters. They're sort of a rarity these days. Outside of the Rainbow Six series, there aren't really a whole lot of them. And I do have a particular fondness for Rainbow Six Vegas 2, which I played quite a decent amount of in college, but it had its problems, and the various things that have come out since have all been a little bit middling. But I did enjoy the campaign there, and I'm a little disappointed to see that Rainbow Six Siege does not have a campaign. They do have a number of scenarios you can play through versus AI and that sort of thing. And there's also a terrorist hunt mode that you can do either solo or co-op with friends to versus the AI, but there's no real campaign. And admittedly, it's, you know, the Rainbow Six campaigns were never the most story-driven, impressive things in the world, but they were something, and they had a decent length to them, and so I have to say I'm a little bit missing that. However, as far as, you know, a first-person PvP shooter goes, this is not a bad one. I often shy away from them because they have a tendency to be one, not something I'm very fond of. PvP as a whole is not my favorite game mode in any genre, but particularly in shooters where I am not only pretty bad, but we'll just leave it there, I suppose. So I was surprised at the amount of fun times I was having, even when I was doing pretty poorly in the matches. The matches are fairly quick, you know, even if you die very quickly, either from not knowing what you're doing or making a bad choice tactically, you know, the matches are typically over within a few minutes, and you're back into the action within the next round, either as attackers or defenders. However, there are some community issues of you know, between it being a free weekend and a number of other things. I don't think it was the greatest community experience in the world, between veterans of the game who really just like to yell at people and tell them what to do and not offer any constructive feedback, really. And on the other side, the free weekend people who had no idea what they were getting into, or just didn't care and proceeded to not follow any directions or pay any attention to any of the objectives or use any sort of tactics, and just think they're playing COD and just run and gun and proceed to die. So community-wise, a little questionable there. I think if I had played it with some of my friends who have played this, I would have had a much better time. I think like I said, I was having a good time even when I was dying a lot. But I think if I was playing with, you know, friends who I know don't take it too seriously, I would have had even more fun, and so on and so forth. That said, I'm not going to pick it up. I didn't pick it up when it was on sale, which was for about 25 bucks, I think. I think it normally still runs 50. It's been out about a year, so it does surprise me that it hasn't been discounted a whole lot, especially since it's somewhat of a niche product. But they've also added in some microtransactions, which are a bit of a gray area for me, as I've mentioned before. The way they've implemented them here is, again, even more gray, purely because it's not pay to win, so I can't get mad at them outright, but they're also not cheap. They're, you know, it's an exchange rate towards the in-game currency, basically, to unlock various characters and weapon mods and things like that, which can take a lot of time to get the points required to unlock what you want. But on the other hand, the microtransactions are not what I would call cheap relative to the in-game payouts you get. It's not $1 to unlock a new character. It's multiple dollars. I don't even know what it was, but it's a bit too much for me to think that that's okay. Again, they're not compulsory. There's nothing you can't get, as far as I'm aware, without that you can get only with the premium currency, but it still doesn't make me feel great about the whole situation. And for $50, I feel like that shouldn't be something you have to fight for. I understand the motivations of wanting to force people to learn how to use a specific operator first before they move to someone else, but frankly, there's no way to test out an operator to see if you'll like them before you buy them. So if you buy somebody you don't like, you might be up shit creek for a while until you can buy another one. That said, on the whole, I had a pretty fun time with the gameplay. The solid Rainbow Six mechanics are mostly still there, leaning and whatnot, and going prone, both backwards and forwards. I did have some problems with some of the hitboxing. Honestly, I don't know if it's servers or hitboxing or what, but there's definitely some times I think other people should have died when they didn't, or I shouldn't have died when I did, or vice versa on both of those things, where I feel like I got lucky and didn't die when I ought to have been shot in the head or some such thing. So that can get a little frustrating, especially when it's it's very much high stakes tactics. It's fairly nobody's a bullet sponge. Well, unless you're playing as Montagne, then you're literally a bullet sponge. But anyway. I digress. I had a pretty good time overall with the game. Again, I don't think I'd pick it up. If it was $10 or $15 and I had some assurance that my friends who owned it would play it with me, I'd probably pick it up, but that's neither here nor there. It was a solid weekend, though. I don't regret the time I put into it. But anyway, I've been the Social Solipsist. Thank you guys for coming to another episode of 52 and 52, and I will see you guys next time.